Now this may come by surprise, but if you are experiencing a panic attack, you are actually quite lucky. Imagine your mind going through 1,000 thoughts within the span of 3 seconds, and at the same time your heart's racing as though you just finished a 200-meter sprint. Despite the fact that life is so beautiful, you look around you feel as though you are going through hell. This we can call panic attacks. It is said that around 13% of humans have experienced a panic attack at least once. But imagine feeling a mild version of this throughout the day. Whether you are going to a social gathering with lots of people around or you are home alone doing what you do, you feel this the whole time in the back of your mind. This we can call anxiety. I kind of wanted to touch upon this topic because I feel like so many people are suffering from matters such as anxiety and other mental health problems. Whenever addressing sensitive matters such as this, I always like to look at the way to solve this. And I find that with mental health issues in particular, there is no easy fix. There is no one way to try and overcome this problem. And the main reason is because it's the problem of the mind. It's the problem of the very tool that we use to initially capture a problem, identify a problem, to then try and solve it. One fundamental thing that I can say though, is that throughout the scope of mental health problems, we can say that our own intelligence is working against us. The very tool that we use to experience this life, to decipher this life, to break it down into categories, to understand it, to create a mental model of what we think life is, this is working against us. It's very much like trying to cook a meal with a hammer. It just doesn't make sense. The hammer is used for specific purposes, whereas cooking would require other tools to carry that out. Now, mental health problems such as anxiety and panic attacks aren't as easily identifiable as you trying to stir a pot with a hammer. If it was that easy, then simply we would replace the tool with a more appropriate one, such as a wooden spoon or a spatula. And so in this specific case, how can we essentially switch the tool that we use in that specific moment to a tool that is more appropriate? Or sometimes when you're sitting down doing nothing that doesn't really require a tool such as a hammer, you may just decide to put that hammer down for once and just experience what it is that you're experiencing in that moment. And maybe we can sort of apply this very simplistic way of looking at this analogy to problems with anxiety, mental health, and etc. Now, do forgive me if you feel like I'm generalizing here. I by no means am belittling your experience if you are going through this. I am by no means saying that it is very easy for you to overcome this. It's very challenging, very much because it is specific and unique to your own experience. No one knows what's going through your mind. No one knows what it is that you're feeling in that moment. And because of that, only you can solve this problem. No other person can really come and solve this for you. They may be able to distract you from it, but we are trying to get rid of this altogether. Now, I can say that I have experienced panic attacks before, and anxiety, such as social anxiety. And once again, by no means am I saying that my experience is just as bad as yours or worse or whatever. It's besides the point. I will share with you what it is that I did in these moments of intense panic attacks where my thoughts is just racing so fast, feeling as though as I'm about to die, as though that's it, this is the end of me. What I did in those moments, maybe you can take a few things away from this that you could apply to yourself. Now, starting with anxiety, I noticed that whenever I find myself in certain moments, my thoughts also change. My environment seems to directly be affecting my thoughts. And so if I am in a social setting, I may be a lot more self-conscious. What are these people going to think of me? Is what I said correct? How do I stand? How do I carry myself? What's the tone of my voice like? What does this person think of me? Do they hate me? Do they love me? Am I going to be judged with the way I look? Are they going to look at my body and judge me about it? Oh, I should have ran to lose that belly fat. I should have consistently worked out. I should have practiced what I was saying. I should have kept some joke. And it just keeps going, right? Now, the conflict between you, the observer or the listener, with whatever is running through your mind, that is exactly what is making you feel anxious. This very internal conflict is what is really tilting the boat, making you feel like you're about to drown the whole time. Whereas, if we eliminate the conflict somehow, the boat will remain still and remain afloat. And so you just ride with the waves. So how do we eliminate this conflict? Well, whenever there's conflict between two individuals, most of the time, only one of the individual will have to back out or let it go. And so you have the power to let go of believing and constantly invest and give your thoughts the weight that they don't deserve in that moment. Now, you may not be able to push this person away, but very often you can ignore. You can still listen, but you don't have to invest in what is being said. You don't have to invest in every single thought. If we can just allow ourselves to be in a more observation type of positioning within the moment, we can then not only see our thoughts, we can also feel the other person we are interacting with. We can feel the dynamics of the social interaction. This is especially useful if you are facing social anxiety. Now, as mentioned earlier, if we take this to more of an extreme situation, we can call this a panic attack, essentially amplifying the moment of anxiety by 1,000 or however many times it is. Essentially, it's not a very pleasant experience. If there is hell on earth, it would probably be a panic attack. With your heart racing so fast, feeling like it's about to burst, with your breath moving at a speed that it would move when you're running a sprint. How do we deal with this? What do we do? How do we address this problem? Now, this may come by surprise, but if you are experiencing a panic attack, you are actually quite lucky because it's a tremendous opportunity. Going back to the same analogy where you are cooking with a hammer, a panic attack is essentially really coming to the edge of this situation of cooking with a hammer. You've cooked with a hammer to the extent where you've put a hole in the pot and the food is spilling everywhere and you've realized, oh, maybe using a hammer isn't such a good idea after all. That very realization is life-changing. Realizing that your intelligence, the very tool you use to experience life in every moment, that doesn't deserve to be running in every moment. It doesn't deserve, or it doesn't need to be the focal point that drives the moment. It is simply, as mentioned, a tool. It is there to help you solve, identify problems. So this very intelligence, when it's working against itself and is trying to solve itself, this is where you spiral into a panic attack. Imagine a pool of water where there are ripples on the surface, and the ripples on the surface is somehow making you feel in a funny certain way. And you try to stop the ripples in the surface because you have an expectation of feeling in a certain way once again. So what you do with your hand, you try to calm the surface of the water, but you're only creating so much more turbulence. This is exactly what's happening during anxiety, or in a more extreme way, a panic attack. Now, I'd like to remind you the power that you have instilled within you. You are a lot greater than you think you are. And I'm not talking to you that is the intelligence, or that is the thoughts running through your mind. It is that which experiences all the thoughts. That is truly you. It isn't the content that you've picked up in life. That's simply just content carried in a bag or in your brain or wherever. You are that which experiences that content. In every moment we are constantly tested. No human ever goes through a problem or goes through an adversity if they are not ready to overcome it. Every obstacle is made for us to overcome so that we grow stronger, so that we can overcome bigger obstacles, so that we can really experience life to its fullest. And this is what we're here for at the end of the day. We are here to take the biggest chunk of life. But let me tell you that your intelligence, that is so highly overrated, these thoughts that constantly run, they make you really see a keyhole of the amount that you can experience to life. So if you're chilling back, if you're relaxing, if you're experiencing life, if you're out in a beautiful park in this glorious weather, then maybe put the intelligence aspect aside. Maybe put your thoughts aside. Just ignore it for just a moment. Say, in this hour where I am out with my family or friends, I'm going to put the judgmental aspect of me just aside for a bit. I'm going to just feel every moment. I'm going to feel the breeze of the moment. I'm going to see the vivid colors of nature and life. I'm going to feel as alive as I have ever felt before. You are amazing, and I know that you can get to a position where you can let go and really feel a lot more alive than you would otherwise. Now, to wrap this up, do not forget to share this to whomever you know is going through anxiety or experiencing panic attacks. It is my dream to try and somehow help people in some form or way. In addition to that, the reason why I spoke about this is because it's been suggested by friends and family, and I definitely feel like there is an increase of these sort of mental health problems. On Instagram, I've received some DMs on this. I do post on there daily as well, so don't forget to follow. You may enjoy the content on there. And aside from that, I really hope you have an amazing day. You are enjoying your summer, and yeah, see you next week.